Widespread rain makes tomorrow a WRAL weather alert day. How long showers stick around and the warm-up that comes for the weekend.
What happens when you call 911 in Wake County is about to change. We'll break down what's different and the questions Wake EMS is answering tonight.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the price tag for plans to build and renovate dorms at UNC and NC State. So how are they going to pay for that? And when you can expect construction to be finished? All right. Thank you for being with us. Let's get started. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news, everybody. We got a lot going on. A WRAL weather alert day tomorrow. Wake County clarifying its new ambulance policies, hundreds of millions of dollars on new dorms, and a pair of rabbits survive a huge apartment fire. Lots to get into, and this is the show that wants you to be part of the conversation. So send an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Ask questions, share feedback. You already got your phones out. I know you do. So hit us up. Send us a message. Let's start with a big story tonight. The rain is headed our way. Kat Campbell joining us now. We're expecting it to be on and off kind of all day tomorrow, Kat.
Exactly, and a lot of that rain is going to be around as you wake up tomorrow morning, especially from the Triangle Points north. A good chance for rain for the morning commute, and that's why it's a WRAL weather alert day. Impactful weather to start your day. Looking ahead tonight, the rain's going to close in on us around midnight. It'll start out with some pretty light rain overnight. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, you can see the rain is widespread across the northern part of our viewing area and for the main morning commute. I should point out it may still be dry closer to Fayetteville, the Sandhills, Johnston County, and Goldsboro. But throughout the day, slowly we're going to see this line of rain drop to the south. It's moving through the Triangle still at lunchtime, and then during the afternoon we see that rain arrive for areas south and east of the Triangle, and there could be a final band that rolls through during the evening commute, but that one is not as guaranteed as the band earlier in the day. The good news is the front should stow a little bit to the south on Friday. That means there's still rain chances in our viewing area, but not for everybody. I'll have a closer look at that in your weekend forecast coming up.
Sounds good. Talk to you then. Thank you, Kat. As we get to a story that's happening right now here at 7 o'clock, a school district employee in Roanoke Rapids accused of embezzling money from an elementary school PTA fund. Brian Schrader joining me now, covering this from the Live Center. Brian.
Dan, we found out about this just in the past half hour or so. Roanoke Rapids police say they got the report last month about Kendra Floyd, a school district employee who is acting as the administrator of the Belmont Elementary School PTA. And according to court documents, they say that she wrote checks to herself from the fund from the PTA, totaling more than $23,000. She is now facing 6 counts of embezzlement. Her bail was set at $20,000. And right now we're trying to find out if she's still employed with the Roanoke Rapids Graded School District. You recall last week we told you about the treasurer of the Wake Forest Elementary School PTA, Anna Marie Etheridge, who was accused of embezzling more than $32,000 from that organization.
Brian, thank you. A new warrant obtained by WRAL shows a 3-year-old child was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound earlier this month. But the woman babysitting him called 911 for a different reason. WRAL's Monica Casey explains.
A loud bang and a flash. That's what a woman says she saw and heard while babysitting a 3-year-old in her apartment on February 10th. According to this warrant, the 911 caller said, quote, a 3-year-old male had put a tool into a socket, that it exploded, and that there is a lot of blood. But that's not what EMS found on the child. The injuries to his hand were determined to be a gunshot wound. The warrant says police went back to that apartment to interview the babysitter. She said she and her husband do not have children, and he keeps the gun on the nightstand. However, the warrant says today she did not tell him that she would be babysitting the victim. This boy is the 4th child in Durham to shoot himself with an unsecured weapon in the last 9 months. But this is not just a Durham issue.
Firearm remains the leading cause of death among North Carolinians children.
According to the North Carolina Child Fatality Task Force, 2 children a week die from a firearm injury statewide. That group is pushing to strengthen the child access prevention law. Right now, it only applies to people who live with a minor. They want that language to be applicable to people taking care of a child as well.
So what we're really talking about here are situations like babysitters or grandparents or others who don't reside with the child, but who we expect to have children in their home.
In this case in Durham, no one has been charged. Police say they are still investigating. Reporting in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
All right, Monica, thank you. We have talked a lot about unsecured guns here at 7 o'clock and on WRAL. It was the topic of a WRAL documentary, Unsafe. Our doc unit told the stories of how gun violence affects children and how children have been able to get their hands on guns. You can watch Unsafe right now on the WRAL YouTube page. Now, who comes to help you when you call 911 in Wake County and how fast they actually get there is about to change. Wake EMS will soon debut a new model for emergency response, one they say will better fit Wake's high growth and high demand. WRAL's Eric Miller has this story.
Wake EMS knows people may have questions about these changes. That's why they're holding a series of public meetings, including one happening right now behind these doors at the Emergency Services Education Center. So what is different here? For one, 911 dispatchers will now ask more questions before sending an ambulance. Officials say this is because of rapidly growing demand for emergency services in the county. That does mean some people with less urgent needs may end up waiting longer for an ambulance or might get a different kind of help altogether. Wake County is also reducing how often they'll use lights and sirens on emergency calls, saving those for only the most serious cases. Now, these changes are going to be debuting in phases. Starting in March, Wake County EMS will be holding a half dozen more public meetings like this one to answer more questions. In Wake County, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Another busy day here in the newsroom, so let's get you caught up. These are the 5 things you should know right now. A child is accused of threatening people with a machete at Garner Elementary School. Sky 5 over the school there as officers responded today around noon. Police tell us that student got upset during a parent meeting with administrators and left the building. The school went on lockdown so the student couldn't get back in. The parent left with that student and no one was hurt. A senior at Millbrook High School in Raleigh is accused of bringing a loaded gun to school. WRAL captured the moments officers arrested Malcolm McIntyre while the rest of the school was on lockdown. He now faces several charges, including a felony for bringing that gun to school. No one was hurt. No criminal charges for the North Carolina woman found 24 years after she disappeared. Michelle Hudley from Rockingham County was reported missing in 2001. At the time, her husband told investigators she went Christmas shopping and never came back. Hudley told deputies she disappeared due to domestic issues, but did not elaborate. The Red Cross will be on site again tomorrow after 70 people were displaced in this Morrisville apartment fire. Look at that damage. They're working to find both short and long-term housing for the people who lost their homes. Many of them are also working with Camden Properties, that's the company that owns that apartment, to move into another unit on site or at another property. Tomorrow, the UNC system could vote to approve tuition hikes at several universities, including NC State and UNC. Undergraduate tuition could go up by an average of $125 per year. Out-of-state undergraduates would see the biggest jump in cost. The UNC system hasn't increased tuition on in-state undergrads since 2017. One board member, Art Pope, had this to say, arguing against the tuition hikes.
Other campuses have tightened their belts, but we can still do so much better reducing the nickel and dimes that become millions, prioritizing the core academic mission of teaching and research in other areas, and make it as free as practicable tuition for our in-state residents. Other states are doing it.
Tuition wasn't the only topic on the agenda today for the UNC Board of Governors. We are learning more about plans to build and renovate dorms at UNC and NC State. The price tag is big, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So how will they pay for that? And when can families expect construction to be finished? We're going to talk about that after the break. Plus, a pair of pet rabbits survived that Morrisville apartment fire. After the break, we'll introduce you to Leonard and Peanut Cream Puff in tonight's One Last Thing. Kat?
I want to meet Peanut Cream Puff. He sounds like a nice guy. All right, so we've got rain on the way. It'll come with some warmer weather, but not every warm day features rain. I'll let you know the best ones for your outdoor plans coming up.
Have you ever looked up and thought, what's that crane? What are they up to? Well, we do too, and it's why we keep track of all the growth happening in our area. It's time for a developing story. Tonight, we actually have a few developing stories to talk about. We're going to start with a place that always seems to have some construction going on, North Hills. Kane Realty broke ground on a new apartment complex on Hardemont Street. These are some of the renderings of what it might once look like. 330 apartments with retail on the ground floor, expected to open in 2028. Kane is keeping busy in North Hills. Maybe you've seen the work happening near Midtown Park, an apartment building going up where a parking lot used to be. 362 units in this one. And if that's not enough, last month, Raleigh City Council approved a zoning request that clears the way for more towers in North Hills. Guess what? Kane Realty, again, they have a plan for 4 towers in the Six Forks, Lassiter Mill Road area, up to 37 stories high. But this is all really just the beginning of what they plan to do in that area. A new private greenway being built, more retail space, 2 pedestrian bridges, adding lanes from 440 to Six Forks Road. So yeah, expect a lot of activity in North Hills over the next few years. You should also expect a lot of activity at NC State and UNC Chapel Hill. The Board of Governors met today talking about a bunch of different things. Earlier in the newscast, we told you about how they plan to vote on tuition increases tomorrow. More details on that on WRAL.com if you're interested. But something else came up in this meeting. We learned a lot more about what NC State and UNC plans to do about their residence halls. This is something that we have also talked a lot about here at 7 o'clock. The universities have plans to spend hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 10 years to renovate old dorms and to build new ones. So this is the plan that NC State presented today. They're looking at a major overhaul off of Thurman Drive. We're talking Sullivan, Lee, and Bragaw Hall. The university says that those facilities aren't in great shape. The dorms are all over 60 years old, and you can see cracks and holes, they say, have been forming there in those buildings. Now, here's a rendering of how NC State wants those changes to look like. 5 new residence halls and a new dining facility. Here's how all that would work. Take a good look at your screen. This is the site plan for that part of campus. The white buildings are the ones the university wants to build. The gray ones are the buildings they would tear down. That includes Sullivan, Lee, and Bragaw Halls, plus the Fountain Dining Hall, if anybody knows that campus very well. This would all take over about 10 years to complete. NC State wants to spend $295 million to build the first 2 buildings and to design the next 2. The university says it will pay for this with self-liquidating debt, meaning it will pay for itself. The amount they charge students to live in those dorms will pay down the debt over the next 10 to 20 years. UNC Chapel Hill has a very similar plan for its new residence hall plan. 10 years of building new dorms and renovating some of the old ones, paid for with a mix of cash and that self-liquidating debt. The first one is supposed to open in 2028. No fancy renderings for this one just yet. We just have the site plan you see here. It'll be right behind Cobb Deck, replacing the tennis courts. But that's really just the beginning. By 2030, UNC plans to replace Parker and Teague Halls and renovate Hinton James. By 2032, they'll renovate another, and by 2034, they'll replace Craig. We're talking about projects that will cost hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a lot of cash. But here's an interesting wrinkle to all of this. UNC says they plan to prioritize affordability, a bit of a shift of what we have seen at universities nationwide over the past 15 years. For example, the University of Houston, they have a dorm with a theater room and a sky lounge. The University of North Florida has a dorm with a lazy river and a Galaxy gaming center. And High Point University here in North Carolina has a steakhouse. Meantime, UNC's presentation today on its new dorm says, quote, avoid pricier apartment style and limit extraneous amenities. So will they do it? I guess we're going to find out. Today's presentation was just a presentation. No official votes or approvals or anything like that. Everything is still in the works. Here at 7 o'clock, we'll keep an eye on it for you on campus and in North Hills. Remember, we did a big, in-depth piece on UNC's dorms and the cost of college these days. That's on our WRAL YouTube page right now. You really should check it out, especially if you're saving for college or just curious about where your tax dollars go. What else do you want to know about development in our area, the cost of college, or UNC and NC State's plans for the increase in tuition? Send an email to 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth here at 7 o'clock. Kat?
Let's start weather on a fun note. The weekend, it looks amazing. 65 Saturday, 73 on Sunday. Think of something to do outside. Now's the time for it. It's really going to feel like spring again. I wouldn't be shocked for tree pollen to jump back up by Sunday. In the meantime, though, we've got to get through our system that's coming tomorrow. Here's what to watch for. Impacts to the morning commute. Periods of rain. There could be ponding on the road still, even for the areas that aren't seeing active rainfall. And this is why it's a WRAL weather alert day, mainly because of the morning commute. We should see pretty widespread rain from Raleigh points north during the morning commute, maybe heavier toward the Virginia border. And then for the evening commute, you can see a skinny little band that may roll through, and that could bring a final band of some spotty showers in for the evening. Anywhere from about ½ an inch to an inch of rain will be possible. The new models in this evening are down a little bit on the rainfall totals, I'll say that. But, we'll take anything we can get over ½ an inch. We haven't had a whole lot of rain in February, and when we have, it's been on the weekend. The past 2 Sundays have provided the most rain. Only one other day this month have we seen over 1/10 of an inch of rain. So we're in a big deficit, and we'll take anything we can get. A live look outside and Fenton tonight. No more ice skating rink out there. If you're headed out for a walk this evening, you should be good to go. I can't entirely rule out a sprinkle by 10 o'clock, but for the most part, I think we'll still be dry. Not the case tomorrow morning. As you're getting out of bed, I expect to see widespread rain around the area already from the Triangle points north. And then if you're not seeing the rain yet, don't worry, it's coming midday into the afternoon as it slides south. Temperatures tomorrow could still make a run at about 60 for the high, but we're trending a little cooler, upper 50s to lower 60s. 59 was the high today. 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, you can see the rain across the northern half of our viewing area. Stays that way through about lunchtime, but then the rain, once it gets here, it's going to take several hours until it moves out. It's still around in part of our viewing area at 5 o'clock, so that's another reason why it's a WRAL weather alert day. Both commutes could see impacts, but this model is holding on to the rain the longest of any models out there. Your 7-day forecast, very, wet tomorrow, but Friday, just a 30% chance for rain. That is primarily south and east of the Triangle early on. And then we should see that rain kind of clear out even from those communities by the afternoon. The weekend is the dry period. The weekend is wedged between our rain chances. We've got rain, of course, at the end of this week. A nice, dry, warmer weekend, and then next week we could see some additional showers move in, and that looks like a chilly rain. We're talking mid-30s with rain possible, but the weekend, it looks so good to have this nice weather lineup with when a lot of people are off work.
Exactly. Very excited for this weekend, making plans already. Sounds just about perfect.
Beat everybody to the tea times. You heard it here first. Go for it now.
Very smart. Kat, this next story, it makes me think of you. I just feel like you would like this one. And it's about these rabbits that survived this awful apartment fire in Mooresville. And they are really cute. Question is, how did they survive? Got any theories? Well, we've got some answers for you. It's our one last thing. And your feedback after the break. One last thing for you tonight. Firefighters didn't just rescue people from that huge Mooresville apartment fire this week. They rescued pets as well, 2 rabbits to be exact. It's a pretty remarkable thing when you think about it. This was what firefighters were dealing with on Monday night. That fire was enormous. It spread quickly. The building is a total loss. 70 people have been displaced, and somehow in all of the rubble, these 2 little bunnies were found alive on the 3rd floor. Keep that in mind, too. This is Leonard and Peanut Cream Puff. And apparently they were hiding under a piece of drywall that had fallen. Their owner, Christine Council, was reunited with them earlier today.
I really haven't slept in the last 2 nights, just crying on and off because these are my babies. That I have a lot of support and a lot of family, so it's not really an urgent need for me, but, when I was just me, but now that I have my rabbits, maybe I'll look into it a little bit.
What a special gift for her in a moment that's just been so awful for so many families. Council, a woman there, says that she was offered another unit at the Camden property that she could move into in a few days, which is great. Others say they are also in contact with the building owners with move-in dates several weeks out, but people are finding a place to stay. Hey, some quick feedback from some of you watching at home tonight. A good question from a viewer named Antonio. He said, why did you not show the picture of the person babysitting the 3-year-old who found that gun and shot themselves? So full transparency here, Antonio, the babysitter has not been charged with any crimes. So we're not going to have any type of mugshot, and that's why we didn't show them. They don't face any charges, but there is an investigation underway, and we're going to continue to follow that, of course. But we want to go to one from Bob. He asked about the Morrisville apartment fire. Can you highlight how much renter's insurance covers and what it does not? So renter's insurance will cover things like your personal belongings, so your stuff, the furniture, clothing, electronics, books. Things that it does not cover will be any structural parts of whether you're renting an apartment or a home. So the walls, the roof, the appliances, things that don't really belong to you. It does also not cover floods. That's extra. And not that we worry about earthquakes, but earthquakes, they don't cover those either. That is extra. Or regular maintenance issues. And the policies we keep telling you are relatively cheap. They typically cost between $10 and $30 a month. Last one from a viewer named Chris. He said, we don't need to spend money on dorms to attract students. Focus on quality education. Yeah, that's a really good point. The fact of the matter is, though, the business model of education seems to be changing. And as these universities have to enter this field of competition with universities across the country, amenities have been driving that conversation. We mentioned some of the, I guess, things that certain people would find extreme, like a steakhouse inside of a dorm or some luxury rooftop, amenities and things of that nature. It's changed a lot since the days of me being at Ohio University, probably a lot of you viewing at home as well. But keep those emails coming. We'll keep answering your questions, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. We appreciate you being with us here tonight at 7 and every night. Have a great evening.